It was the mistake that should have ended her life. In the shadow world of Los Angeles's Koreatown, you do not look Seo-Joon Kim in the eye, and you certainly do not speak to him unless spoken to, especially if you're black, female, and wearing a server's uniform. Ava Thompson was just a pre-med student trying to survive, invisible to the dangerous men in tailored suits who frequented her restaurant. But the moment she saw the heavy jade ring on the boss's finger, a dragon wrapped around a broken lotus, she didn't see a Mafia kingpin. She saw a ghost from her childhood, clutched in her mother's trembling hands during the worst nights. When the words left her lips in halting Korean, "Sir, my mother has one too," the entire room froze. The guards reached for their weapons. But Seo-Joon didn't give the order. For the first time in 23 years, the wolf of Koreatown turned pale. This is the story of how an invisible waitress brought an empire to its knees and discovered she was its rightful heir. You just met Ava, at her lowest moment invisible, broke, desperate. By the end of this story, she'll be unrecognizable. Stay with me through. The father who sacrificed everything for love. The mother who protected a dangerous secret. The waitress who becomes a queen. The choice between two worlds. Like if you love powerful female leads. Subscribe if you want to see where this goes. Let's start at the beginning. The Los Angeles rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Hwagok, Koreatown's most exclusive and dangerous Korean fusion restaurant. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of aged soju, expensive cologne, and the metallic tang of fear. Ava Thompson adjusted her red and black uniform vest, her hands trembling slightly despite her best efforts to appear calm. She had been working at Hwagok for 8 months, long enough to know the rules, long enough to make herself invisible. Rule number 1. When the private room on the second floor is reserved, you see nothing, you hear nothing, and you speak only when absolutely necessary. Tonight, the private room wasn't just reserved. It was occupied by the Kim crime family. "Ava, VIP room needs the Hueo 41, whispered Jin-soo, the floor manager, grabbing her arm with enough pressure to leave marks. His eyes were urgent, almost panicked. "And for God's sake, don't make eye contact. If you screw this up tonight, don't bother coming back. Actually, if you screw this up tonight, you might not make it to the parking lot." Ava nodded, swallowing hard against the lump forming in her throat. She needed this job desperately. Her mother's medical bills from the memory care facility were stacked on her tiny apartment's counter like a monument to everything she couldn't afford. Green Meadows had called again this morning, their tone shifting from sympathetic to threatening. 3 months behind. They'd start discharge proceedings if she didn't clear at least half the balance by Friday. She smoothed down her vest with shaking hands and picked up the crystal decanter of premium Korean spirits that cost more than her monthly rent. Taking a deep breath that did nothing to steady her nerves, she pushed through the heavy wooden doors carved with traditional Korean patterns, doors that separated the ordinary diners from the untouchable elite. The atmosphere in the private room was suffocating. 8 men sat around the low table in the traditional Korean style, their shoes left at the entrance, sitting on silk cushions that probably cost more than Ava's entire wardrobe. They wore suits so expensive and perfectly tailored they looked like armor. Traditional Korean landscape paintings hung on the walls, but the room smelled of violence disguised as civilization. In the center, commanding the space without saying a word, sat Seo-Joon Kim. Seo-Joon was a legend in Koreatown, a dark legend whispered about in Korean barbecue shops and nail salons, in karaoke rooms and churches. At 48, he still looked like a predator in his prime. His jet-black hair was swept back perfectly, not a strand out of place, and his eyes were dark and bottomless, like staring into deep water at night. He wasn't speaking. He was listening, his face an unreadable mask, to a younger man named Min-ho who was gesturing emphatically with a cigarette. "The Chinese are pushing into our territory, Hyung-nim," Min-ho said sharply, using the Korean term of respect that somehow sounded more like a challenge. "They hit our warehouse in East LA last week. If we don't respond decisively, we look weak. The other families are watching." Seo-Joon raised a single hand. The room went instantly silent. Even the sound of rain against the windows seemed to quiet in deference. The smoke from Min-ho's cigarette hung motionless in the air. "We do not act on impulse, Min-ho," Seo-Joon said. his voice a low, controlled baritone that resonated in Ava's chest despite her position near the wall. He spoke in English, perfect, unaccented English that somehow made him even more intimidating. We act on strategy. Pour the soju. He gestured vaguely in Ava's direction without looking at her, as if she were furniture, as if she were invisible. Which was exactly what she'd trained herself to be. Ava stepped forward, her heart hammering so loudly she was certain everyone could hear it. Steady. Just pour and leave. Don't spill. Don't speak. Don't exist. She moved to Seojun's right side, kneeling gracefully on the polished floor in the traditional serving position she'd learned from YouTube videos and careful observation. As she reached forward to fill his cup, the sleeve of his impeccably tailored suit jacket shifted slightly up his wrist. That's when she saw it. The ring. Heavy, unmistakable, sitting on his right pinky finger. Not a wedding band or a flashy diamond like some of the other men wore. This was a signet ring, carved from a single piece of jade so dark it was almost black. The design was intricate, impossibly detailed, a dragon coiled protectively around a lotus flower. But the lotus was broken, split down the middle, its petals fractured. Ava's hand froze. The decanter hovered over his cup, soju trickling dangerously close to overflowing. She knew that ring. She knew every scale on that dragon, every crack in that lotus. She had spent countless nights as a child tracing that exact design with her fingertips, sitting on her mother's lap while Maya wept in their darkened apartment, clutching an identical ring like it was the only thing keeping her alive. The memory crashed over her with such force, she forgot where she was. She forgot the rules. She forgot the danger. She forgot to be invisible. "Sir," Ava whispered, the word escaping before she could stop it. The air in the room shifted. It went from tense to lethal in a single heartbeat. Minho's hand drifted toward the inside of his jacket. Another man set down his cup with deliberate slowness. The two guards standing by the door straightened, their eyes locked on her. Seojun slowly, so slowly, turned his head. His dark eyes met hers, something no one in this room would ever dare to do. They were terrifying, those eyes. Ancient and empty, filled with decades of calculated violence and buried secrets. "What did you say?" he asked softly. The quietness of his voice was more threatening than any shout could ever be. Ava's mind screamed at her to stop, to apologize, to run, but her mother's face flashed before her eyes. Maya's tears, her whispered stories about a man she loved and lost, the ring she'd hidden away like a sacred relic. The words tumbled out, driven by 24 years of unanswered questions and a desperate, impossible hope. She pointed at his hand with a trembling finger, her voice barely above a whisper but clear enough to shatter the silence. "That ring?" She stammered in English, then switched to her halting, self-taught Korean. "Jo, J 어머니 do 그런 반지를 가지고 있어요. My mother has a ring like that too." She swallowed hard. Exactly like it. The dragon. The broken lotus. Exactly the same. For 3 seconds, nobody breathed. Minho stood up, his chair scraping against the floor like a gunshot. "Boss, she's out of line. I'll handle this." But Seojun didn't look at Minho. He didn't acknowledge the guards reaching for their weapons. He didn't seem to hear anything except the impossible words that had just come from the black waitress kneeling before him. The wolf of Koreatown, the man who had supposedly killed his own cousin for betraying the family, the man whose name made grown men cross the street in fear. Seojun Kim turned a shade of pale that looked like death itself. His sun-kissed skin went ashen. His lips parted slightly. His eyes, those bottomless black eyes, suddenly looked haunted, as if he were seeing a ghost he thought he'd buried 23 years ago. He stared at the ring on his finger, then back at Ava's face, studying her features with an intensity that made her want to disappear into the floor. "Leave us," Seojun commanded, his voice cracking just slightly, but enough that every man in the room noticed, enough that Minho's eyes widened in shock. "Boss," Minho protested, his hand still inside his jacket. "She could be wearing a wire. She's talking about the family crest. Nobody outside the inner circle has the crest except—" I said. Seojun's hand slammed down on the table, making every cup jump, soju splashing across the lacquered surface. His voice, when it came, was a roar that seemed to shake the paintings on the walls. "Get out!" The men scrambled. Within 15 seconds, the room was empty, except for the king of Koreatown and the trembling waitress still kneeling on the floor, holding a crystal decanter of soju that cost more than her life was apparently worth. Seo-jun stood up slowly, towering over her. He was tall, powerful, radiating controlled violence. He reached down not to strike her, but to take her left hand in his. His grip was iron, his hands scarred and calloused despite his expensive suit. "What is your mother's name?" he rasped, his English now stripped of its earlier composure. His voice was raw, desperate, terrified. "Tell me, what is your mother's name?" Ava was crying now, tears streaming down her face, her professional mask completely shattered. Her voice came out as a broken whisper. "Maya," she said. "Her name is Maya Thompson." Seo-jun closed his eyes. His entire body swayed, and for a moment she thought this dangerous, powerful man might actually collapse. He grabbed the edge of the table for support, his knuckles turning white. "Maya," he repeated, and the name sounded like a prayer and a curse and a lifetime of regret, all woven into 2 syllables. "Maya." He opened his eyes, and the steel was gone. In its place was a storm of shock, recognition, and something that looked terrifyingly like hope. "Sit down, child," he said, his voice trembling as he gestured to the cushion across from him. His hand shook something that would have terrified his subordinates more than his anger ever could. "We have 23 years to discuss." Ava sat across from the wolf of Koreatown, feeling like prey. Seo-jun poured soju with trembling hands, making him human, and somehow more terrifying. "Maya Thompson," he said, the name like a prayer. "Where is she? Why does she have my ring?" "She's sick. Alzheimer's." Ava's throat tightened. "Green Meadows Memory Care in South LA. Half the time she doesn't know who I am. The other half she screams about a fire. About someone she calls her beautiful monster." Seo-jun's cup shattered in his grip. Blood mixed with soju. He didn't notice. "That's what she called me. Before everything burned." He walked to the window overlooking neon-soaked Koreatown, his voice stripped raw. 1,999. Your mother sang at a jazz club on 6th Street. I was collecting protection money, 25 years old, my father's enforcer, already drowning in blood. He touched the glass like reaching into the past. When Maya sang, I forgot I was a monster. She made me remember I was human. Ava's tears fell. Her hidden origin story, finally spoken. We fell in love like falling off a cliff. She was Marcus Thompson's daughter, a civil rights lawyer investigating organized crime. I was Kim Jin-woo's son, running criminal enterprises from here to San Francisco. His bitter laugh cut the air. Romeo and Juliet if Romeo had a body count and Juliet wore a wire. She was investigating you? Ava gasped. Until she fell too. He turned back. We plan to run. Tokyo, December 15th, 2000. Disappear, marry, live normal. He showed her a photo on his blood-stained phone, young Seo-jun, with his arm around a radiant black woman in red. Maya. Whole and in love. What happened? My father found out. Gave me a choice: leave and watch her die screaming. Or stay and let her vanish safely. He removed the jade ring. I gave her this. $50,000. A new name. A ticket to anywhere but here. I promised to follow in a week. His voice cracked. I lied. I stayed. Became the monster he wanted. To keep her breathing. Inside the ring, an inscription. Maya plus Enzo. Forever. She called you Enzo, Ava whispered. She said it sounded romantic. He stared at Ava, really seeing her. I never knew she was pregnant. Never knew I had a daughter. His jaw clenched. Your mother sang like she could heal the world. I was a monster even then, but she made me want to be better. My mother said my father died before I was born. Ava's anger rose. She lied for 24 years. She didn't lie. Seo-jun's voice was quiet. In a way, I did die. The man who loved her had to die so she could live. This thing wearing my face, he gestured to the opulent room, his bloody hands, isn't who she loved. He stepped closer. Ava saw her eyes in his same deep brown, same determined set. You're my daughter, my blood and her soul, the bridge between two worlds. The door exploded inward. Minho burst through with 3 armed men, face twisted with rage. Step away from her, boss. His gun pointed at Seojun. That bitch is wearing a wire. You just confessed to everything. You're compromised. The council will have my head if I don't handle this now. The safety clicked off. Seojun moved in front of Ava, shielding her. If you want my daughter, he said, deadly calm, you go through me first. The word detonated like a bomb. Daughter. Minho's face went white with understanding and murder. Minho's finger tightened on the trigger. A half-black daughter? The council will. This ring represents direct bloodline. Seojun held up the jade dragon. The dragon protects its own, no matter what they look like. The lotus breaks, but roots survive. My father never understood that. The windows exploded. 3 men in tactical gear and red triad bandanas crashed through in a hail of gunfire. But their movements were too rehearsed, positioning too perfect, choreographed. It's a setup, Seojun realized. They're not. A gunman swung his rifle at Ava's head. Seojun threw himself over her as bullets shredded the room. I will not lose you again, he breathed, his weight crushing and safe. The private room became hell. Mahogany splintered. Paintings shredded. Minho dove behind a table, firing back but shooting wide, missing deliberately. He was in on it. Seojun rolled up, pulling his pistol. Stay down! 3 precise shots. 2 gunmen dropped. The third's burst caught him across the chest and shoulder. Blood bloomed like crimson flowers. He didn't stop. Wounded and bleeding, Seojun emptied his magazine into the last attacker with cold efficiency. Silence. Except Ava's sobbing and distant screams. Seojun collapsed against the wall, blood smeared. His breathing labored, wet. Minho, how long? Minho emerged, gun trained on them. 5 years. Clean triad hit tragic gang war. But this bitch complicated everything. He aimed at Ava. Now I'll explain why the heir didn't survive either. The door burst open. A mountain of a man scarred, dragon tattoos covering his neck. Ji-hoon. His twin pistols fired before Minho could react. Minho dove through the shattered window into rain-soaked night, disappearing into neon. Ji-hoon assessed Seojun's wounds. Young-nim, more are coming. No. Seojun grabbed Ava's wrist with blood-slick fingers. He worked the jade ring off, hands shaking from shock. This ring is your life. Your proof. Your power. He forced it onto her thumb. You are Kim Ava, Thompson Ava. Both. The dragon recognizes its blood. You're bleeding. We need. Ji-hoon, Code Omega. Take her to the Haven. Show no one the ring until I wake. He coughed blood. If I don't wake, take her to Mrs. Park. Ji-hoon hoisted Ava up. Non-imperial Sumginda. I serve the blood, he said, bowing to her with absolute deference. Wait! I just found him. Run! Seojun roared. Sirens wailed. More gunfire erupted below. Hwagok was a war zone, screaming diners, fleeing staff. Ji-hoon dragged her through the kitchen to the back alley. Ava looked back through smoke and chaos. Seojun was pulling himself up, still fighting, blood pooling. Her father. The monster. The man who died for love. Ji-hoon shoved her into a black Escalade. Seatbelt. Tires screamed as they rocketed into traffic. Through the rear window, Ava watched Hwagok recede ambulances converging, her world burning. The jade ring weighed 1,000 pounds. On Ji-hoon's dashboard phone, a notification. Breaking news. Korean gang violence. Multiple casualties. Seojun Kim's condition unknown. Then a text from unknown. The wolf is dying. The throne is empty. Run, little princess. We're coming for you next. The drive up into the Hollywood Hills felt like ascending into another world. Through the rain and fog, the Haven appeared glass and stone perched like a predator surveying Los Angeles. Iron gates that could stop a tank. 6 cameras tracking their approach. The Haven, Ji-hoon said, his voice tight. Boss built this after your mother left. No one else knows its location. A woman stood in the doorway, severe. Elegant, late 60s, traditional navy hanbok, silver hair pulled painfully tight, eyes like broken glass. Maya's daughter. Mrs. Park switched from Korean to English, studying Ava's face. You have his eyes, her mouth, both their stubborn chin. You knew my mother? I helped her pack the night she ran. Mrs. Park's gaze dropped to Ava's uniform. You're bleeding on my floors. Seo Jun's blood, soaked through Ava's vest. Inside was breathtaking and alien floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city's sprawl, traditional Korean paintings, celadon vases worth fortunes, jasmine incense, and old money. But Ava froze at the massive television. Asterisk, asterisk, gang violence rocks Koreatown Seo Jun Kim critical condition at Cedars-Sinai. Asterisk, asterisk. Footage showed Hwagok swarming with police. Body bags, Seo Jun on a stretcher, white shirt crimson, oxygen mask covering his face. He can't die, Ava whispered. I just found him. Then don't waste his sacrifice, Mrs. Park snapped, eyes wet. Shower, change. Then we talk. After showering, Ava emerged in borrowed silk and tailored pants. Someone's daughter's clothes. Someone who'd lived here before. Mrs. Park poured delicate tea, her hands steady despite her age. Your mother was braver than any of us. She knew what Seo Jun was, knew what it would cost, loved him anyway. She looked at Ava. She kept you safe from all this. Until tonight. I need to know who I am. Mrs. Park stood, gesturing for Ava to follow. They moved through the mansion to a room at the end of a long hallway. Mrs. Park unlocked the door with an old key. Inside, a shrine to Maya. Photographs covered every wall, Maya singing, laughing, kissing Seo Jun in stolen moments. Maya pregnant and radiant. Their bodies tangled, dark skin against his, expressions so full of love it hurt. He comes here every night, Mrs. Park said quietly. 23 years. Stacks of letters covered a desk. Ava opened one with trembling hands. Asterisk. Maya, 1,000 days since you left. I still see you in every sunset. I kept my promise. You're alive, even if I can't be. You're beautiful monster, asterisk. Another. Asterisk, Maya, I wonder about the baby. If they have your smile, I hope they never know my name. E, asterisk. 23 years of love and regret. None sent. He never stopped loving her, Ava whispered. No, Mrs. Park agreed. He just stopped being human. A drawer in the desk was partially open. Ava pulled it fully, and inside, wrapped in the same worn silk handkerchief her mother always used, was a second jade ring. Identical. The dragon. The broken lotus. She picked it up with shaking hands, holding it next to the one on her thumb. Perfect matches. She left it here, Mrs. Park said softly. The night she ran. Said if anything happened to her, you might come looking one day. Said you'd need proof. The door slammed open. Ji-hoon, pale, phone in hand. Boss is awake, but fear naked on his scarred face. Someone tried smothering him 10 minutes ago. One of our own men. Minho's people are inside the hospital. They're finishing what they started. Mrs. Park grabbed Ava's shoulders. The ring? Ava showed her thumb, the jade dragon gleaming. Then you're the target. Kill Seo Jun and you, the bloodline ends. Minho takes everything. The hallway television. Breaking Seo Jun Kim attacked in ICU. Suspect in custody. Ava's burner phone buzzed. Unknown number. Found you. Pretty house in the hills. Enjoy your last night, princess. By morning, you'll be another dead waitress. Below, a photo. The Haven's front gates. Taken from outside. Right now. They were already here. Put down the guns. A smooth voice called from beyond the gates. Perfect English. Hint of Korean accent. I'm here to help. Ji-hoon's hand tightened on his weapon. That's Minho. Mrs. Park spat like poison. The serpent walked through with 4 men in dark suits. Under exterior lights, Minho looked magazine-perfect styled hair, designer suit, concerned expression that didn't reach his eyes. Thank God you're safe, Ava. Your father would never forgive me if something happened to his. Discovery. Not daughter. How did you find this place? Ji-hoon demanded. I've always known about the Haven. Seo-jun and I are brothers in everything but blood. Minho's smile was practiced. Or we were. May I come in? We should discuss your father's condition. Mrs. Park blocked the doorway. Speak from there. Minho's smile tightened. Ava, I need the ring. The council convenes in 3 hours. They need to see the signet for legitimacy, for order. Ava's thumb covered the jade dragon. My father gave it to me. In emotional confusion. He'd been shot, bleeding out, hardly sound judgment. Sympathy dripped from his tone. You're a waitress, a student. You wouldn't understand our ways, the protocols, centuries of tradition. I understand you shot at us. Ava cut him off, steel in her voice. I understand you staged that attack. My father's in ICU because of you. Minho's mask slipped rage, flashing before the concerned expression returned. You're traumatized. Understandable. But your father was progressive. Fell in love with an outsider. Passed that rebellious streak to you. The organization has rules. The council won't accept a half-black American girl who knows nothing of our culture, language, code. They can tell me themselves. Minho stepped closer, voice dropping. That ring makes you a target. Every rival, every ambitious lieutenant, every enemy your father made, they'll come for you. Give me the ring. Let me handle the council. I'll ensure you're taken care of, protected. Enough money for your mother's care. Finish school. You can return to your life. My life changed when I saw this ring. I'm not giving it to anyone. Minho's eyes went dead. You're making a mistake. She's making the only choice that keeps her breathing, Mrs. Park said coldly. Now leave. Minho backed away, smile returning predatory now. Council meeting. 3 hours. Palos Verdes compound. Don't be late. He paused. And wear something appropriate. First impressions matter. When his car disappeared, Mrs. Park grabbed Ava. That man smiles with his mouth, not his eyes. How many guards here are his? Ji-hoon asked. At least half, maybe more. The fortress suddenly felt like a cage. How many would kill her for Minho? Ava dialed Green Meadows, hands shaking. A man answered. Not usual staff. Miss Thompson, we've been expecting your call. Where's my mother? Secured. Moved to a private facility for safety. Given recent events. Mr. Park felt it best. Minho? For her safety. She's comfortable. As long as certain understandings are reached. The line died. They have my mother, Ava whispered. Mrs. Park went pale. Then they have all the leverage. You show up at that meeting, it's a trap. You don't. Ji-hoon's phone buzzed. His face went ashen. Boss just coded at Cedars-Sinai. They're trying to revive him, but... He looked at Ava with pity. It doesn't look good. If he dies before the meeting. Minho becomes acting head, Mrs. Park finished. And you become a loose end. Ava's phone buzzed. A photo. Maya asleep in an unfamiliar bed. Someone standing over her. Pillow in their hands. Text below. Asterisk. Council meeting. 3 hours. Come alone. Bring the ring. Or mommy stops breathing. Asterisk. Ava lay staring at the ceiling, the photo of her mother with a pillow held over her burning into her mind. 3 hours until the council meeting. 3 hours to choose between her life and Maya's. The door lock clicked. Unlocked. Mrs. Park had deliberately locked her in for safety. But now the deadbolt released with a soft mechanical sound. Test? Trap? Invitation? She eased the door open. The hallway was dim. Voices drifted from below, Korean. Rapid. Urgent. Minho's smooth tone. Her mother had taught her a few phrases before Maya's mind fractured. Working at Hwagok, Ava had learned more language apps, K-dramas with subtitles, secret practice while cleaning tables. Not fluent, but enough to understand commands. Enough to know when she was being discussed. She moved silently, following voices to a study. Door ajar, golden light spilling through. Minho stood with his back to her, phone to ear, speaking Korean like he owned the world. Noin in Yakata. The old man is weak. Panjum Huganin Taran Moyogia. The half-breed daughter is an insult. Ava's blood turned to ice. 5 years of embezzling, building my war chest, negotiating with the triads. Kimi yakijigir kidaryaso. I waited for Kim to weaken. Ichang yoga modengosar bokjapage mandarotsi. This bitch complicated everything. He paced. Ne saramduri pyongwane eso. Kimi keo namen, gagiso kun ne. My people are at the hospital. If Kim wakes, we finish it there. Kusonyonen, choyonghi chorihe. The girl. Dispose of her quietly. Ava stifled a gasp. She understood enough. A house full of men paid to kill her. Her father would die if he recovered. 5 years of planning. Tragic gang war. Both casualties. I'm the natural successor. Minho's cold laugh. Kime yusanen ne goshi delkoya. Kim's legacy will be mine. Footsteps behind her. A guard doing rounds. Flashlight sweeping toward her. If he found her here, outside her locked room, she slipped into a darkened sitting room, pressing behind a massive Korean cabinet. The guard's footsteps passed, paused near Minho's study, continued, but she couldn't return to her room. They'd find the unlocked door, realize she'd heard everything. This room was different, personal. Seo-jun's private study. Her hand touched something under the desk. A phone. An old flip phone. Off the grid. She powered it on, praying for silence. One contact. Jihoon. Bisangyong. Jihoon. Emergency. Below it, a pre-written template. Code Omega. Trust no one. Come alone. Her finger hovered over send. Minho's voice, right outside. Check every room. She's not in her bedroom. Find her. If she heard anything, she doesn't leave this house breathing. Ava pressed send, powered off the phone, pocketed it. Her hand found something else, cold, heavy metal, a gun. She'd never fired a gun in her life. The door swung open. A guard swept in with flashlight. Ava's thumb found the safety. She didn't know if she was turning it on or off. The beam landed on her cabinet. Her regular phone buzzed in her other pocket. Loud, piercing in the silence. The flashlight snapped toward the sound. Found her. The guard's flashlight locked onto Ava. His hand went to his radio. Target located. A ceramic vase exploded against his skull. He dropped. Mrs. Park stood in the doorway, holding broken antique remains. I knew you'd hear the snake hissing. She grabbed Ava's arm. We move now. You unlock the door. I was Maya's friend. I helped hide her pregnancy 24 years ago. Mrs. Park's hands found a hidden panel pressing a sequence. The bookshelf swung inward. Your father's men are divided. Some serve Minho's money. Some serve the blood. The passage was narrow, modern. Steel stairs descended into darkness. Behind them shouts, Chaja! Kunyoral Chaja! Find her. They emerged into an underground garage. 5 black vehicles. Mrs. Park selected a service van, tossing keys. She opened a locked cabinet, pulling out silk-wrapped steel. A traditional Korean knife-curved blade, wickedly sharp, worn leather handle. Your mother left this. She said, if I have a daughter, give her this. Tell her I understood his world. Even if I couldn't stay in it. Ava took it. Her mother's knife. A bridge between worlds. Gate code is 1215. December 15th, 2000. The day he let her go. Jihoon's at the outer perimeter. Show him the ring. Come with me. Someone needs to make Minho believe you're trapped. Mrs. Park smiled. I'm old. I've served too long. This is how I want it to end. She pressed a button. The garage door began opening. As Ava climbed into the van, Mrs. Park grabbed her hand one last time. Your mother sang like she could heal the world. You fight like you can save it. Go. The van rocketed through, tires screaming. Gunfire erupted immediately. Minho's men had been waiting. Bullets pinged off armor. In the rearview mirror, Ava saw Mrs. Park standing in the garage entrance, hands raised, drawing their fire away from the van. Then Minho appeared, gun raised. The shot echoed. Mrs. Park fell. The outer gate. A massive figure stood blocking the way, weapon raised. Jihoon. Ava slammed brakes, skidding to a stop. His twin pistols trained on the windshield. She couldn't tell whose side he was on. She thrust her left hand out the window. The jade dragon caught security lights. Jihoon's eyes widened. He lowered weapons, bowing his head. Your father told me. If a woman wearing Maya's face shows you the dragon, she is my heir. He looked at her face, and Ava saw tears in the scarred warrior's eyes. You have her eyes, his spirit. He climbed in, typing the gate code. Iron gates swung open. Cedars Sinai, Ava said. My father. Still alive. They revived him. But Minho's people. Jihoon checked weapons. They're regrouping. We have maybe 90 minutes before they try again. The van screamed down Hollywood Hills. Mrs. Park? Jihoon asked quietly. Ava's vision blurred. She bought me time. Minho shot her. Jihoon's jaw clenched. Then we don't waste what she paid for. The hospital appeared through rain. Massive. Crawling with security. Minho has men inside. Jihoon said, pulling on a bulletproof vest, handing one to Ava. ICU. 5th floor. But hospital security is on high alert now. It'll be harder for them to move. Then we get to him first. Ava's voice was cold. She tucked her mother's knife into her belt alongside the gun. The jade ring felt like fire. They parked in emergency bay. Ava stepped into rain. Minho stood at the hospital entrance with 6 armed men. Smiling. I was hoping you'd come. Saves me hunting you down. He raised his gun. Your father just coded again. They're calling it now. Which means you're officially an orphan. And that ring is mine. He's not dead, Ava said, her voice cutting through rain. Something in her gut screamed Minho was lying. Cute denial. Minho gestured. Take her. Ava stepped into hospital lights, rain streaming. She raised her left hand high, the jade dragon catching every light. Nanin Gime Tarida, Pikura. I am Kim's daughter. Move. Her Korean was rough but unmistakable. Minho's men froze. The ancient symbol on a black woman's hand, it violated everything, yet the ring didn't lie. She's wearing stolen property. Kill her! Minho snarled in Korean. 2 guards lowered weapons. One bowed slightly. Traitors! Minho raised his gun, but Jihoon was faster. His shot took Minho's weapon. Minho dove through hospital doors. Go! Jihoon roared. I'll hold them. Ava ran. 5th floor, ICU. An elderly doctor stared at her vest and ring. You're the daughter. Room 517. Hurry. He's alive? Barely. Someone tried disconnecting his ventilator. We stopped them, but his heart is weak. He pressed an access card into her hand. Go. The corridor was empty. Too empty. She crept toward 517, knife in one hand, gun in the other. The door was ajar. Minho stood beside Seojun's bed, pillow in one hand, silenced pistol in the other. Seojun lay motionless, machines beeping steadily. You should have stayed hidden, half-breed. Now I stage murder-suicide. Distraught daughter shoots the traitor, then herself. Poetic. Nanin Modun Gusel Turiso. I heard everything. Ava spoke Korean. Tasit nyone huengyong. Samhapwe wa e hupsong. Pyongwanaso curl kudnarian and gaywek. 5 years embezzling. Triad negotiations. Your hospital plan. Minho spun. Shocked. You understood. Every fucking word. English now. Ice cold. The half-breed speaks Korean. Surprise. Your black blood pollutes the Kim line. Minho raised the pistol. They'll never accept you. You're an abomination. I am both. That's not weakness. That's strength. I bridge 2 worlds you're too small to understand. Minho's finger tightened. A hand shot from the bed impossibly fast grabbed Minho's wrist with crushing force. Seojun's eyes were open, blazing, alive. The dragon has 2 heads now. Eastern and Western. And she's everything you'll never be. Minho screamed, bringing the pillow up. Ava swung the IV pole. Metal connected with Minho's temple with a sickening crack. He crumpled, unconscious, blood pooling beneath his head. Seojun fell back, breathing hard. You fight like your mother. Think like me. He removed his oxygen mask. The Empire is yours, daughter. You need rest. No time. Council convenes in 90 minutes. Minho told them I'm dead. If you don't show without proof, they'll kill you. He squeezed her hand. Mrs. Park? Tears fell. Dead. She saved me. Pain crossed his face. Then her death buys minutes. I can't go, these machines are keeping me alive. But you go. Show them the ring. Ji-hoon will protect you. I can't do this alone. You won't be. Ji-hoon knows what to do. Trust him. Trust yourself. He tried sitting up, gasped, fell back. Blood seeped through bandages. Machines beeped frantically. Go. Claim what's yours. The door burst open. 6 men in tactical gear. Korean characters on vests. Samhapwe, Triad. The leader removed his mask. Minho's brother, Junho. Behind him, a video camera rolling. Perfect timing. The council will love this footage. Half-breed daughter murdering the rightful heir, standing over dying Koreans with weapons. He raised his rifle. Tonight, the Kim line ends. Seo-jun's hand shot out, hitting the emergency call button. Hospital security flooded in within seconds. This was a high-profile patient in a locked-down ICU. LAPD officers assigned to the case followed immediately. Junho and his men found themselves surrounded, weapons trained on them from all sides. Drop your weapons, an LAPD sergeant barked. You're live-streaming what looks like an attempted hospital murder. On your knees. Now. Junho's face went white as he realized he'd just recorded his own crime. His men hesitated, then dropped their weapons. As they were being cuffed, Ji-hoon appeared in the doorway, breathing hard. Ava, we need to move. The council is convening early. Word's spreading that you're alive. We have maybe an hour. Seo-jun grabbed Ava's wrist one more time. Show them who you are. Ji-hoon drove like death itself was the deadline. Behind them, LAPD had Junho and his men in custody, but the footage existed enough ammunition for Minho's allies to use against Ava if she didn't control the narrative first. We tell the truth before they twist it, Ava said, voice steady despite everything. The Palos Verdes compound sat on a cliff overlooking the Pacific. 20 black cars lined the driveway. The council was assembled early, word had spread fast. Listen carefully, Ji-hoon said, pulling over a half-mile out. When you enter, bow to the elders first. Speak Korean for respect, English for power. Never break eye contact when challenged. Keep the ring visible always. He opened the SUV, revealing a garment bag. Mrs. Park left this for you. She told me weeks ago. If the boss's daughter ever comes, she needs to look like she belongs to both worlds. Inside, a modern hanbok traditional Korean dress reimagined in sleek black silk with crimson accents, fusion of East and West. Ava changed in the car, hands shaking despite her resolve. The jade ring gleamed against black fabric, her mother's knife hidden at her side. How do I look? Like someone who doesn't ask permission. The council room was designed to intimidate. 20-foot ceilings, traditional Korean art, 5 elderly men at a horseshoe table. Behind them, lieutenants, all male, all Korean, all staring at her like she was a challenge to everything they believed. At the head sat Minho's cousin, Tae-sung, already wearing ceremonial robes, already claiming what wasn't his. This meeting is closed. Remove the woman, Tae-sung said in Korean. I am not the woman, Ava replied in Korean, her accent rough but her tone pure steel. Nanan Gim Abada. I am Kim Ava. Silence crashed over the room like a wave. She walked forward, each step deliberate. Reached the table. Didn't bow. Instead, she slammed the jade ring down on the ancient wood with a crack like thunder. I am Kim Ava, Thompson Ava, daughter of Seo-jun Kim and Maya Thompson, and I'm here to tell you the truth about Minho Park before you crown a traitor. You dare, Tae-sung started. Minho murdered Mrs. Park tonight. He orchestrated the Hwagok massacre. He embezzled from you for 5 years. Ji-hoon set a laptop on the table, opening files. Bank records. Cayman accounts. Recorded conversations with Triad leadership. Wire transfers. He was selling you out piece by piece. The council members leaned forward, faces darkening as they examined the evidence. This could be fabricated, one elder said coldly. You're black, female, American. You cannot lead us. You don't understand our code, our honor, our blood. Your honor? Ava switched to English, her voice cutting through the room. Minho betrayed his sworn brother, stole from the families he swore to protect. tried murdering my father in his hospital bed. She placed her palm flat on the table, the jade ring catching every light. My father's blood runs through me. My mother's strength fills me. I bridge two communities you desperately need, Korean and Black, East and West, old ways and new. She looked each elder directly in the eye, refusing to flinch. I'm not asking your permission. I'm claiming what's mine by blood and by right. But I'm offering you something Minho never would: legitimacy. No more wars with the triads or cartels. No more territorial battles. We transition to legitimate operations. Technology, real estate, businesses that don't require body counts. My father built an empire. I'm going to make it last. And if we refuse? The eldest, Park Jin-soo, asked quietly, studying her with hawk-like intensity. Then LAPD gets all this evidence tonight. FBI gets the triad negotiations. And you all spend your remaining years in federal prison while I testify in exchange for immunity. She paused, letting that sink in. Or you accept that the dragon has chosen. That blood and honor matter more than skin color. That adaptation is the only path to survival. The room held its breath. Park Jin-soo stood slowly. He walked to Ava, his weathered face unreadable. He looked at the ring on the table, looked at her face, saw something there that satisfied him. Then he bowed his head. The dragon has chosen, he said quietly in Korean. I serve the blood. One by one the others stood. One by one they bowed. Not from love, from respect, from recognition that she'd outmaneuvered them all. Taesung's face went purple with rage. You're accepting a half-breed bastard over legitimate. The doors exploded open. Federal agents. 20 of them. Body armor. Weapons drawn. FBI! Nobody move! The lead agent, Morrison, walked straight to Ava. Kim Ava Thompson, you're under arrest for the murder of Minho Park. He died 30 minutes ago from head trauma at Cedars-Sinai. His brother has video evidence. You're coming with us. He pulled out handcuffs. The jade ring suddenly felt like a death sentence. But Park Jin-soo stepped forward, smartphone in hand. Agent Morrison, before you arrest anyone, you should know that Junho Park and 5 triad-affiliated men are currently in LAPD custody for attempted murder at Cedars-Sinai, with hospital security footage showing Minho Park attempting to smother Seo Jun. Kim with a pillow before Miss. Kim defended her father. That evidence Junho filmed was recorded during an active felony he was committing. He smiled thinly. We also have excellent lawyers, very expensive lawyers. And all of this evidence showing Minho Park's embezzlement, conspiracy, and attempted murder conspiracy with triad elements. He gestured to the laptop. Evidence we're happy to share with the FBI, under the right circumstances. Agent Morrison's jaw tightened. His hand hovered over the handcuffs. This isn't over. No, Ava said, her voice steady. It's just beginning. Morrison stepped back, reconsidering. He couldn't make an arrest that would unravel the moment lawyers got involved, especially with video evidence that might support self-defense. We'll be investigating. All of you. Don't leave Los Angeles. When the FBI left, the council room stayed silent for a long moment. Then Park Jin-soo looked at Ava. You have your father's cunning, your mother's courage, and something neither of them had the wisdom to build instead of just defend. He nodded slowly. The dragon has 2 heads now. We accept this. The FBI spent 3 months investigating. In the end, hospital security footage showed Minho attempting murder first, Ava defending her father in clear self-defense, and Junho's ill-fated triad raid caught on multiple cameras. The DA declined to prosecute. Junho and his men faced federal conspiracy charges. The evidence against Minho's network led to 14 arrests. 4 months after that night at Hwagok, Los Angeles stretched before Ava like a kingdom she was still learning to rule. From her penthouse office, she could see both Koreatown's neon and South LA's sprawl, 2 worlds she refused to choose between. Korean Business Association in an hour, Ji-hoon said, reviewing her schedule. He'd become her chief of security and trusted advisor. Black Chamber of Commerce at 3. Tonight, Maya Thompson Cultural Center opens. Ava adjusted her outfit Western blazer over hanbok-inspired dress. Fusion. Always fusion. The jade ring gleamed on her finger, now properly resized to fit her left hand. On her right hand, she wore her mother's matching ring, proof of a love that transcended everything. Take me to them first, before the meetings. The private medical facility was disguised as an artist's retreat in the Hollywood Hills. In the sunlit common room, Seojun sat in a wheelchair teaching Maya watercolor painting. Her hands shook, but her smile was radiant. The experimental Alzheimer's treatments Ava had funded were working slowly, but working. Ava! Maya's eyes lit with recognition, the lucidity lasting longer each week. Your father is teaching me Korean brush painting. Asterisk. Your father. Asterisk. Maya said it naturally now, the decades of separation fading. Seojun looked up, face still pale but eyes sharp with pride. You're wearing both rings wrong. Left hand shows power you've earned. Right hand shows power you inherited. He switched them for her. There. Now you look like what you are. And what's that? The beginning of something new. I still feel like an imposter sometimes, Ava admitted quietly. Good. Seojun gripped her hand. The day you stop questioning yourself is the day you become dangerous. Minho never questioned himself. Look where that led. His voice grew serious. Never remove these rings. You are the bridge between worlds. Many will try to burn it, but bridges are stronger than walls. Maya reached out, touching both jade dragons with trembling fingers. You found him. You brought us home. Tears streamed down her face, but they were happy tears. I kept my ring for 24 years, hoping. And you did it, baby girl. You brought us back together. Ava knelt between them, one hand in her mother's, one in her father's. 3 generations, 3 rings, finally whole. Later, back in the office, Ava handled calls in Korean and English, switching between languages like breathing. The empire was transforming technology investments, real estate developments, legitimate restaurants including Hwagok, which she now owned, and had turned into a training ground for young people from underserved communities. The afternoon meeting brought together Korean elders, Black community leaders, and young entrepreneurs of all backgrounds, tradition and innovation, old guard and new vision. Some still don't accept me, Ava told Jihoon as sunset painted both Koreatown and South LA in gold. They say I'm too Black for their world, too Korean for mine. What do you say? I say I'm both. I'm the bridge. She looked at both rings, catching the sunset. And I will protect both sides. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A photo Hwagok's dining room, now renovated and thriving. But sitting at a corner table was a patron she didn't recognize. On his finger, a ring. Not jade. Ruby. A Chinese character engraved. Lorne. Dragon. Message in Korean and English. Asterisk. The wolf had 1 heir. The dragon has 7. Minho was our pawn. He failed. We won't. The real game begins now. Welcome, little bridge. The 7 dragons of the triad, asterisk. Ava looked at the message for a long moment. Then she looked at Jihoon, at the jade dragons on her hands, at the sunset over her city, Otake Harley. What do you want to do? Jihoon asked. She smiled, not scared, not surprised, ready. Call the council, schedule a meeting with the 7 dragons, and commission 6 more jade dragon rings. She stood, looking out over Los Angeles. If they want to play games, they'll learn what happens when East and West stop fighting each other and fight as one. She picked up her phone, typing a response. Minho underestimated a waitress. The 7 dragons are underestimating a queen. Come when you're ready. I'll be here. Kim Ava Thompson. The bridge. Jihoon read the message over her shoulder. Starting a war? No. Ava hit send. Ending one, on my terms. The jade dragons gleamed in the dying light. The wolf had protected his territory through fear. The bridge would protect hers through something more powerful, unity. She looked at her city. Both her worlds spread before her, and smiled. The dragon had chosen. And the dragon was just getting started. What did you think of Ava's transformation from invisible waitress to Korean Mafia queen? Drop a comment below and let me know. Would you have shown the ring to Seojun, or stayed silent? Who was your favorite character? Seojun, Mrs. Park, or Jihoon? Should Ava negotiate with the Seven Dragons or go to war? Like this video if you want to see more stories like this. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. Share this with someone who loves mafia stories with strong female leads.